Welcome back. You're watching Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. And joining us now on the Hercules Tires hotline is none other than this past weekend's Night 2 winner at Devil's Bowl. It is Seth Bergman. Seth, a fourth on the first night, a win on the second night, an absolutely awesome way to start the season with the Lucas Oil ASCS.
Yeah, I don't think we could ask for too much. First of all, thank you. It's good to be here. Glad to be back and talking to you guys. But yeah, it was a good weekend. When you look at a points schedule and you're going to run for a championship, the first weekend can give you some good momentum or take some wind out of your sails. And for us this weekend, it was probably the best opening weekend to a point chase I've ever had. To get a win and a fourth, I mean, two top fives. I don't think you can ask for too much more of a solid start to the season.
Yeah, it's certainly a great way to start the season with a win in a top five, like you said. But you won at none other than Devil's Bowl. I mean, just the history there, everything that track means. How cool was it to be in Victory Lane there, Devil's Bowl?
Really cool. I've been fortunate enough before, quite a few years back now, to win there. And then it's been a quite a few year gap. I haven't really run there a lot here in the past few years, but it was great. Like you said, the history of Devil's Bowl Speedway. It's one of the speedways that just kind of has the history to it, and it's its own thing. And anytime you can get a win there, it feels really special. Special just because of the long, rich history it has in sprint car racing, and to be able to say you wanted a place like that, it just adds to it.
No doubt about it, Seth. Obviously, as you mentioned, you're going for the championship this year. The last season or two, you've only ran a dozen or so races with them. Five wins, though, last year on the year with the Lucas Oil ASCS. What is it that makes you want to run the full series with them this year and run for the championship?
In 360 racing, it's something that's eluded me. I'm originally from Washington State, and when ASCS years ago, I think in '09, came out with a really good points fund and tow money and all this, it lured us away from the West Coast, and I started my sprint car journey full time. And the championship is something that was a goal of mine, even way back then, even when I was cutting my teeth. And we came really close in 2018, and that was the last year I ran full time. I haven't run full time since then. So it's basically just a goal that I've set in place that I haven't reached that I really want to see through and get it done. And this is the year that I think everything's in place, and hopefully we can see that through.
Seth, I know we've talked to you before about kind of taking some time off from sprint car racing, starting a business. Tell us how all that is going, aside from going back full time racing. How's the business going?
Business is good. It's a lot to juggle when you say you're going to full time race again. Plus, have a couple businesses now that we have, and we're working on another one. So, yeah, very busy. The business end of it's busy. Luckily, my wife, she is great with all that, and she takes on a lot of that workload for me when I'm playing with race cars. So without her, that would not be possible. But it's really good. We started it for something else to do, maybe some more income, and it's turned out to just be a lot more than I think we ever could have expected, and the way it's growing. And but while we've been doing all that, I've been wanting to race more and more too. So like I said, it's just busy, but I can't complain. Things in the business world are good. Things in racing are really good right now. So it's all good. Hopefully we can just keep it up.
That's awesome. I know that you and your wife started Evergreen Coffee Company. I know that you currently have two stores. Are you opening a third, or are you starting a whole new venture with another business?
Yeah, things are going so well there that we're just trying to grow and expand. So it's another evergreen. We're just here in Owasso where we live. Owasso's growing and expanding, and we're trying to keep up with business and grow and expand with it as well. So, yeah, it'll end up being our third location now, along with everything else we have going on.
That's awesome. Seth, you talked about racing with ASCS, trying to go for a championship. It's the pinnacle of 360 racing. What is the difference now that it's kind of changed hands and you have Terry Maddox involved? It seems the schedule is nice, the purse, the point fund. Is that something that helps you get you back with ASCS full time?
Yeah, it is. I like to, Emmett Hahn is a friend of mine, and I've got to know him well over the past several years running a series, and I think he did a great job building it and getting it to where it was. And now, with everything happening and Terry getting involved, I feel like it maybe, needed some new life and some new direction, and Terry stepped in and he's doing that now. And the schedule that he put in place, for one, works really good for me because the businesses like we're talking about, I still need to be present more times than not. So it's nice that the schedule he has in place, I can go racing basically the way he has it set up on the weekends and be gone most of the time, leave Thursday night or Friday morning and be back Sunday evening. So it works. The schedule, for one, lets me race as much as I want to and then be home for the businesses and the kids as well. So that's one. Um, he upped the tow money a little bit and is trying to get the purses better and the points fund. And it seems like he's really trying to take it in a solid direction. And I want to be a part of that growth and help him do that. It's exciting.
Another great thing about the Lucas Oil ASCS is they have exposure on MAV TV. Seth, how much does that mean for you and your race team and just bringing a presence nationally with MAV TV?
It's really good. It's been really good in the past when the MAP TV's been on board and they've televised probably 15 races or so or 20 races one year and it helps the reach. I've had people come up to me that that think you're like a TV or star or something. I don't know. It's weird. It just helps you grow your brand and it helps the sprint car brand grow. And I think that now you see like Dirt Vision and Flow and getting sprint car racing out there on platforms like that is nothing but good. I think it helps grow our sport, and certainly with ASCS having that deal in place, it helps bring a name and a recognition to it.
Seth, you talked about running for a championship. The competition level of ASCS right now, it's really stout. And I looked at the top fives from both nights this past weekend. I mean, those are names you've heard winning races at ASCS for years now. Wayne Johnson being one of them, Sam Hafferty, Blake Hahn. Talk about what you think it's going to take to get that championship with that level of competitors.
It's tough. You just like we were talking, having a good opening weekend. You're gonna have to do that all year. I think to be a champion at any level, you have to be consistent, no DNFs. You got to win races, and you got to be a player all year. And there's a few guys on ASCS that could probably do that. So for us to be able to beat them or beat anybody that wants to run full time, we just have to be the best versions of what we're trying to do. And that's what we tried to do this weekend. Was just we wanted to go compete for wins both nights, and we felt like if we could do that, the points they just kind of take care of themselves, and that's kind of our attitude all year is we want to be clean, we don't want to be DNFing, we don't want parts failures. We put a lot of emphasis. I think most of Nate works for me. Most of our goal is to do the work in the shop before we go to the racetrack. We're really confident that the work in the shop gets done, all the hard stuff's done, and then we just have to go to the racetrack and do our job. So we put a lot of emphasis on building fast race cars in the shop and building reliable race cars. And I think this weekend we had to change a motor and we were absolutely ready to do that. And we rebounded and went to two great finishes. So it's things like that, being prepared when you're in situations to be able to rebound and get good results. We did this weekend, and I think it'll take that all year.
After running part time for a few years, how refreshing, how nice is it to be back full time? I know when I raced part time for a few years, to me it was a little bit frustrating. You always kind of felt like you were a little bit behind, you weren't up on the wheel like you should be, or maybe that was just me. But it has to feel nice to know that you're sticking to a full time schedule this year.
It is. You've raced full time before, and you grind it out for so long. Sometimes it gets a little, it wears on you, and you need a break. And so for a couple years, I was debating on whether I want to run for points or not, or just mess around. And we ran around and win races, and but I started to find out it lacked meaning for me. I need something to chase, so like an overall goal, and I've been missing that. So I'm super excited to be back on tour this year and have that goal that we can set in place as a championship, and it gives us purpose all year now is something to work forward to, and every week means something. Every time we're in the shop means something, and so I've missed that. It's fun being carefree, I should say, when you go to the racetrack and not have to worry about points. But also, it's fun when you can set goals and then try to go reach them as well.
Okay, Seth, it's time to get off track with you a little bit. We've talked about the business, your wife. Let's talk about the kids. Miller, your son Miller, and Addison, your daughter. Obviously, they go to the races with you. Do they understand what dad does and what it means to be in Victory Lane?
They're getting there. It's a whole nother side to the sport that you never think about when you're younger, growing up and racing and stuff. But to see your children at the racetrack and enjoying it and being there with you and watching and it's emotions and feelings that I never knew existed, and I am so appreciative for that to have them there. And I tell you guys, they absolutely love being there. Like seeing, we told our kids, I think 2 weeks before we went to Devil's Bowl this past weekend, and we were going to go. And no doubt they wore me out every single day. When are we going? We could have started a countdown like you do for Christmas, and I mean they were that excited to go to the races. No, and they had a great time. So for me, it was fun being there. There was, like I said, we have goals in place and want to take it serious when we're there. But to have them there with me it's a little bit refreshing to take a second back and just appreciate that moment with your kids, and they're having a blast. And they keep me honest though. They want trophies and they want me to win, and when I don't, they ask me why, and it gives me a little bit of extra motivation. But yeah, it's great to have them there. They love the sport. It's cool to see them passionate and having so much fun there, like I did when I was little too.
Yeah, it certainly changes your perspective when you become a parent, and as Ashley's about to soon find out. But Seth, do either of them show any interest in driving themselves?
They really like the sport. I have some little battery powered Jeeps and stuff here that they ride around on. I kind of watch them, just to see their attitudes on it and stuff. And I think they're a little young yet to tell. My daughter, she's getting old enough, but I ask her and she seems a little hesitant about it. I think it makes her a little bit nervous. She really loves it, but I think that there's a little bit of nerves with her on the whole racing thing yet. So we'll wait it out and see. I'm trying to get her involved in like golf, or she does dancing and stuff like that, and something that's a little less stressful for me, as a parent. But if it's something that they would want to do, absolutely, I'd support them. And my son, I think he will maybe be the one that gets the bug. I can tell when he's cruising around on his buggies and doing stuff. He's just got that crazy little look in his eye, and he's fearless. And he loves sitting in the race car, loves watching the cars, has all the sprint car toys. And but he's only 2.5, so but he's 2.5 and he's cruising his Jeep around like he's 6 or 7. So I think there might be hope there.
Seth, your wife posted an awesome picture of Miller in his room with all his race cars. So I don't think there's any way of him getting out of being in love with racing. But to also talk about the rest of your family, your dog Lucky, we've talked about him numerous times over the years. You found him in a Walmart parking lot years ago. How is the little guy?
Look, he's doing good. He's not so little anymore. He's growing up like the rest of us. He's good though. I think Lucky's like, I want to say he's 6.5 or 7 now. Um, Doing good. He was at the races with us this weekend too, so he doesn't miss very many races. We found him when we were on a racing trip, and I can tell you he hasn't missed very many trips with us to the races since. He's personable too. He likes to stand at the back of the trailer, and when people come up and visit, he will demand their attention. And he barks at them, and until they come over and pet him, and so it's good. He's been good and enjoying life. I know he is with our kids. Our kids chase him around, and he gets to go to the races with us. So he's having fun doing everything he's always done with us since he was a pup.
So, Seth, you've talked about dad life, dog dad life, running businesses, full time racer. Have you found it? I know it's early on in this season, first time, going full time again. But have you found it like difficult to try to maybe balance all that? I'm not good at balancing, so I'm always impressed when people can focus on multiple things and do really well at them.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you get a lot on your plate, it's hard to balance. As just a racer, I look back at when I was, single before a family and stuff, and when you're just trying to focus on racing, you realize how luxurious you had it at that time. All you had to focus on was racing, and I'm like, man, I let that time go by and didn't make the most out of it. But uh, it's a lot to juggle. But my wife, she's a saint. She works hard with the businesses, and she knows how passionate I am about racing and winning and what it takes. So she pulls more than her weight on that stuff. And then I have Nate who works for me with the sprint car stuff, and he does an amazing job and really does good work in the shop. So I have to bounce around between kids and businesses and racing. And when I'm bouncing around, they're handling those things for me when I'm not present. And so as tough as it is mentally, the people I have in my life, they take a lot of that stress off of me as well and let me focus in the areas when I need to. And I try. I know to be high level in a race car, you have to be switched on and in shape and focused. And I try to take a lot of time too as well, and make sure I'm prepared and work out and stay fit and do all that. So it's a full time deal doing all this, but I'd say I credit a lot of it is to just having the right people in place to allow me to be here, there, and everywhere.
So true. It is half the battle. Seth, we thank you so much for joining us today. A heck of a way to start this season, and maybe we'll be chatting with you later this year, maybe even after a championship. But thanks again, and congratulations on an awesome start to the season.
I always enjoy being on, you guys. And hey, you guys taught me something new today. I've never done a Zoom call. And I had to download the app and I didn't even know what it was. And sitting here, I had my AirPods in and I'm in my son's room doing this. My wife saw me setting it up and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to try this Zoom call thing. I've never done it before." So this is good. I had fun. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely, Seth. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with more Winged Nation right here, presented by Sage Fruit.